guys and welcome to my channel. I'm Tanya and I'm shooting this video from Bali. So while I'm also doing a proper vlog from here which will be up soon, I wanted to do this video because I know this is one of the most requested videos across all my channels. A lot of you people have been asking me about the gear that I use and also what gear is good for beginners when they want to start off with YouTubing. I'll start off with telling you about all the gear that I use currently, which is quite a lot actually because I accumulated all the gear while I was working, because I started off with photography and then diversified into making videos. But having said that, not all the gear that I use is something that you may want to buy too. You can also make do with just one camera and one audio recording device, but that'll depend on your needs. But I'll come to that aspect of making videos later on. So starting off with cameras, the camera that I currently use for vlogging is Canon G7X Mark II. It's quite a nice camera and I really like the performance and everything about it, especially the low light performance of the camera. So for me, I guess the vlogging camera of my choice would be a camera that works really good in low light, because earlier I was using my phone and also a GoPro at times, but I realized that I often had to refrain from shooting at night because the video footage used to turn out to be really grainy. That was my only reason for upgrading to a better camera. But having said that, even this camera has a lot of drawbacks. The number one drawback is that it does not have a mic output. So if I want to connect a mic to the camera, I cannot do that. So I have to resort to other ways of recording audio. So the second camera that I use is my GoPro Hero 5. This is quite a versatile camera. It can work in various view modes like the super view or the super zoom or the linear mode or medium mode, which is basically the field of view that the camera offers. The only problem with this camera is again the low light performance, and of late I haven't been using the GoPro Hero 5 too much because I shifted to using the G7X. I only use this camera when I cannot use my G7X when there's water or say if I'm flying. In my recent beer billing video in which I was doing paragliding, I used my GoPro Hero 5 and it was quite a nice camera. Also the output of the camera and the video quality and everything is really good. So the next camera that I use is my Nikon D5500. This is not a camera that I use for videography as much. I mostly just use it for taking photos, and this was actually the first ever camera that I bought from my own salary. It's quite a nice camera, but I think it doesn't have a very good video performance, especially because the autofocus is a little laggy. The lens that I use with this camera is a 35mm lens, and I also have a kit lens along with this camera, but I don't really make use of it because if I ever want to take shots, say, of the scenery, I make use of the G7X instead. Coming to the phone, I think I did not mention the phone that I'd use. The phone that I currently use is the Pixel 2 XL, which is an excellent phone for taking videos and photos. The best part about this phone is actually the fact that it has unlimited storage on cloud. Now coming to the audio aspect of a video, I know that a lot of good videos can sound really bad if the video has a lot of echo or a lot of noise in the background or something that disturbs the person who's viewing it. If there's bad audio in the background, the video can turn quite bad quite fast. Especially for people who are starting off with making videos, do not underestimate the potential a video can have if there's good audio in the background. So you always have to invest in good audio equipment, and if you do not want to invest in really expensive audio equipment, look for cheaper alternatives that work best with your camera. So what I do for my audio is use the Zoom Handy H1, which I'm even currently recording this video on. Since this mic does not connect to my camera, and also I have a G7X which does not get connected to a mic, I record the audio and the video file separately, and during post-processing while editing the video, I kind of merge the video and the audio together. Having said that, I sometimes cannot use the Zoom Handy H1 all the time on the go, especially because most of the times when I'm shooting video is actually when I'm traveling. So it gets quite cumbersome carrying the Zoom Handy H1 and holding it up to my face and recording audio all the time. So what I sometimes do is use the Audio Technica mic. It is quite a handy mic and you can actually just clip it to your collar, and even use a wind muff along with that so that the audio is nice even in windy conditions. That was all for the audio equipment that I use. Coming to the supported gear that I use for my equipment. Along with the Canon G7X that I'm currently using, I also use the MANFROTTO PIXIE mini tripod, especially when I want to just prop my camera anywhere and want to start recording. So the other supported equipment that I use is mostly equipment for my GoPro. Things like this cycle clamp, like such. You can use it for clamping your GoPro onto a cycle and then shoot while cycling or shoot while vlogging while cycling. Also flotation devices like this one, which you can use for clamping your GoPro, especially if you're going underwater like I'm going to be doing a lot in Bali. So if you happen to lose grip of your device, you can be sure that it's not going to sink underwater. All that's going to happen is that it's going to go float on top of the surface, and you're going to be sure that your GoPro is safe. But apart from these, I have a lot of GoPro clamps that you can also get for yourself in case you shoot on GoPro, and I've linked all the clamps below in the description box. Now coming to video stabilization. So you will find that a lot of people who start off with YouTubing, there's a lot of shake and jitter in their video, which makes the video very visually less appealing. So it's always imperative that you try to minimize shake as much as possible. So there are 3 things that you can do for video stabilization. Number 1 is, while post-processing, you can actually stabilize your video in the software itself. So the second option for video stabilization is buying a device that actually has OIS, which stands for Optical Image Stabilization. So a lot of devices these days, including your phones, even the iPhones and the Google Pixels of these days, have optical image stabilization inbuilt in the camera. So whenever you're shooting a video, more or less the video is going to be really stabilized. But if you want to go for those really cinematic looking shots, like the camera moving from one direction to another in that super fluid and smooth motion, then you can opt for the third kind of stabilization, which is the external stabilization. So external stabilization is not inexpensive, and most of the devices that you can connect with your camera for stabilization are going to be super expensive. But I have one such device which is compatible with my phone and my GoPro. The device that I use is the Zhiyun Smooth Cube. So this is what the device looks like, and after I am done turning it on and connecting my device, of course, it's gonna look something like this, and it makes the video really smooth because this device just glides and removes any kind of external shake or jitter. But apart from the Zhiyun Smooth Q, there are also similar devices in the market like the Osmo Mobile or the Osmo Mobile 2, which are said to be a little better than the Zhiyun Smooth Q. But Zhiyun Smooth Q, when I bought it, was incredibly cheap. It costed me 10,000, which is really inexpensive as compared to other stabilizers in the market. Now coming to the storage aspect of making videos. Now I have a lot of memory cards like such that I keep in a box handy all the time, just in case that I want to switch to using another memory card. But for my main camera, I mostly use the 64GB Samsung Evo SD card, which is a very fast SD card. So recording videos and saving them, also transferring them, is very easy on that SD card. And also, because the capacity is a lot, I can be assured that I'm not going to be running out of space anytime soon. For my Zoom Handy H1, I actually use a 16GB SD card. 16GB is more than enough for a sound recording equipment. Coming to the GoPro, I use the Samsung Evo again, but in the 32GB capacity, and it's quite convenient for recording videos on GoPro. So coming to the backup aspect of all the footage on the go, I use the WD My Passport Wireless Pro. So the best part about this hard drive is it even has an SD slot, so in case I want to insert my memory card and get it backed up, it can happen on the go quite conveniently. And also it wirelessly connects to my laptop, although I think the wireless functionality is a little laggy, so I don't use it as much, just to be sure that my footage is fully transferred. I mostly end up using the wired option of this hard drive. So now, having talked of all the backup options available and also what I use for backing up my footage, coming to the video editing aspect, I use this laptop. This is not the laptop, this is actually the cover of the laptop, but it's quite a cute cover, so I really like it. Also, it keeps my laptop very protected. This is the Apple MacBook Pro, the 2017 model, and I've also put a cover for my keyboard. So anyway, this also comes with a touch bar, and I think it's quite useful for scanning through footage sometimes, because you can actually just glide on this touch bar and you can glide through all the footage that you're using. So now, talking of editing, I actually use the Premiere Pro CC 2018, which is the preferred software of my choice, although a lot of people say that for the Mac it's better that you use the Final Cut Pro X. I was using a Windows laptop before my MacBook Pro, and before I could get the hang of Final Cut Pro X, I had already grown quite accustomed to Premiere Pro CC 2018, and also I like the software a little better than Final Cut Pro X. But honestly, I think the software is just something that depends on your choice. If you're using a certain software and you think you're quite comfortable with it, then stick to that software. Now that I've talked of all the devices that I use, let's come to the main burning question of this video. As a new YouTuber, which device should you opt for? Honestly, I feel like if you're a new YouTuber, a lot of YouTubers will give you the similar advice and tell you that the camera does not really matter, and you can even start recording on your phone, which is true. You can start off with recording on your phone, something that I did too. I've made at least 4 or 5 videos with just my phone, and they did not turn out so bad. But once I decided that I wanted to go full-time and take YouTube really seriously, I started investing in my cameras, because I think video quality is something that really helps with engaging users and making the visual experience of the video a little better. So if you want to take YouTube professionally, my advice would be go in for a camera, but look for something which suits your price range. There are a lot of camera options in the market today, and a lot of them are even quite economical. But having talked of the camera gear, I think more important than the camera gear itself is the sound recording equipment that you use. The Zoom Handy H1 was one of my first purchases when I started making videos. So I would suggest if you're a new YouTuber, you can definitely go with something like the Audio Technica, which is a collar mic, or you could go for something like the Zoom Handy H1. So these were my best 2 tips for people who are just starting off with making videos, and I hope this video was helpful. So that brings us to the end of the video, and you know the drill. Please make sure that you like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel, guys. And I'm gonna go head to the beach now, and see you later. Bye bye. So I was using a Windows laptop before my MacBook Pro X.